Very good evening, Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you for joining Sai Satcharita Parayan. We'll continue from where we stopped yesterday. Shri Sai Satcharita, the life and teachings of Shirdi Sai Baba, chapter 16. A narration about Brahma-Jnana, part 1. My obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati, my obeisance to Shri Ganesh, to Shri Saraswati and Shri Guru Maharaj, to the family deity to Shri Sita Ramachandra. My most humble obeisance I bow in reverence to the most venerable Guru, Shri Sai Nath. Let me do my prayers. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we'll continue from verse 84 onwards. Such is also the condition of the living creatures. When their misconceptions are removed, their delusions about the rope, the sunbeams, and the oyster shell are at once dispelled. Ignorance of its being an oyster shell creates the illusion of silver, but a true knowledge of the nature of silver at once brings the realization that it is only an oyster shell. In that moment, the illusion of silver disappears altogether and the oyster shell is perceived clearly and definitively, for it is what it is. It is symptomatic of reciprocal ignorance. Burnish the lamp of knowledge by succoring and scrubbing the impurities of ignorance, so that all the illusions are destroyed. Had there been no bondage of birth and death, why would there be this determined pursuit of moksha? What would our concern be then with the Vedanta? And wherefore this discourse on Brahma-Jnana at all? So I think we're continuing from where we stopped yesterday. So yesterday's chapter was talking about an individual who's coming to, a rich person is coming to Baba and saying that I want Brahma-Jnana, I want right now. And then Baba puts him to a test. He's going to teach not just to him but to all of us. And how do you attain Brahma-Jnana? I think then he was giving the explanations of what it means to attain Brahma-Jnana, or how to be on the path of spiritual. And when he's asking for dakshina, this person, though having 250 rupees in his pocket, does not even give that 5 rupees which Baba is asking. He's sending a boy to be for borrowing that 5 rupees, so 2 different places. But this person, though having so much money, does not even remove that 5 rupees. And then it is said why it is so important to give that Guru Dakshina, the Dakshina, to attain the spiritual wheel or spiritual knowledge. So let us continue further. And here the whole question here is, why do you first of all need Brahma-Jnana if we did not have the birth and death cycle at all? Or then nobody would ask for moksha, then why is Vedanta there? So here's the sort of a questions that is being asked, and let us see what further explanations come about. But he who firmly believes and is determined that I am in bondage and want to be liberated, only he has the authority to be a seeker here, neither the totally ignorant nor the complete jnani too. When there is no bondage, how can there be liberation? This is the real truth. Bondage and liberation arise from the association with the 3 gunas, such is the experience of all. And this is so very true. Absolutely well said. See, the bondage or liberation, what is this both? If you feel you're in bondage, then you will need liberation. But when you know you're free, then where is the question of having liberation or asking for liberation? That is exactly what is mentioned here. So, this conviction that I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not the senses, I am that eternal being. When you have that absolute conviction, then there is no bondage. So then what are you seeking after? There's no liberation to be sought. That's exactly what he's saying. But he who firmly believes and is determined that I am in bondage and want to be liberated, only he has the authority to be a seeker here. So it's only when you believe that you are in bondage and you need liberation, then you are the real seeker, and then you can seek for that liberation. But when it's saying, when there is no bondage, how can there be liberation? So if you believe that, when you have that conviction that there is no bondage at all, then where is the question of seeking liberation? So this is the real truth. Bondage and liberation arise from the association with 3 gunas. Such is the experience of all. So what is it, these 3 gunas? The 3 gunas are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. What does that mean? So we have this nature, the gunas in which we all act. We are always under this 3 gunas. The influence of 3 gunas is so strong. When you get angry, when you get, when you have this pride, arrogance, ego, all that, you're in tamasic state. So when you're rajasic is you're greedy, you want name, fame, recognition, you want to show how powerful you can be. All that is the nature of a rajas. That then you're in the rajoguna. Sattva, the person who operates on the plane of sattva is always in goodness, love, all the good things, is doing charity, so many different things. But at the end of the day, we human beings are always in the three gunas. But to become free, you have to transcend the three gunas as well. And like Lord Shri Krishna has mentioned, to attain him, first you have to transcend even the three gunas. But to even get to that, first you have to at least operate in the sattvic plane. But if you're not even operating in the sattvic guna, then where is the question of you even evolving further than that? So that is the whole aspect it's mentioned. So a human being feels or is in bondage because he's always operating in one of these gunas. But in the absence of any duality, who binds and who liberates? Here, nobody is in bondage and nobody is liberated. Once the feeling of duality disappears, there is through non-duality. So the moment you have attained that I am Brahman, or you have removed that the duality from your life, you understood the truth, then when you can see God in everything, then you've attained that liberation itself. There's nothing to bind you anymore. So you have to, the freedom is from having this non-duality itself. I am the body and there's something else besides me. So these two aspects are always, it's going to cause you that, oh, I am the body, that the feeling of I am body and I'm in bondage comes because of that. That's because of the duality that you experience. When this duality goes away and you attain that freedom, and that's what is mentioned, the feeling of duality disappears through non-duality. When you see everything in one, you're always in that oneness, then there is no duality that remains with you. Are the phenomena of day and night a creation of the sun? It is all a matter of the delusion of the eye, for the sun is aloof from it. Absolutely true. So who creates this phenomena of day and night? It's the eyes which sees that, right? There's light and there's darkness. But if you go to a different time zone, it's beautiful how it shifts, right? So in India now we are now the time is in the evening, right? The same thing in if you go to USA now, it is morning for them. So how does this contradict then? So who is seeing what? And that is what is mentioned here. So what you experience is only the illusion of your eye, but the sun is aloof of it. Sun is the same across. Just because you're living in India, it is a night evening for you. But if you're living in America, it is daytime for you. So what is then right or what is wrong in this? That's exactly what it is. But for the sun, it's aloof. It's not attached with it. When the joys of heaven and sorrows of hell are experienced with the ego that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, the intentness and attachment to desires increase. Absolutely true. You cannot say that you are the doer, right? You cannot even say I'm enjoying, I am the one who's doing this. The moment you are attached, when you say I am the doer, when the joys of heaven and sorrows of hell are experienced with that ego that I am the doer. Wow, this is very, very beautiful. I am the enjoyer. The intentness and attachment to the desires increases, and that is why in spirituality, the Guru teaches you to say God is the doer, so that you remove the I from that, thinking that you are the one to do. Who are you to do anything? Everything happens with the will of the divine alone. We are but mere an instrument in the hands of the God. And never take credit for anything that you do. Always attribute to the divine. In fact, actually, my Guruji will teach, the Lord also is not the doer. If you tell anything, my Guruji, you're the one who's doing, he'll say, okay, I'm not the doer. And never ever blame Lord Shri Krishna that he's the doer. He's not the doer. The way the universe works is very beautiful. His Prakriti works. It's the will. You are perforced perform. You are perforced performed. You're made to perforce perform with your own nature. So it is the will of the divine Lord. The Maya will make you work like that. But when you take the credit, I am the doer, then you're going to fall for it. And then you'll accrue karma. Please know this. So always surrender to the will of the divine. You're just a mere an instrument. What comes to you naturally, you got to do those activities, those duties, those jobs that you're meant to do. And please know that the divine has already laid a path for you. You've already come with that destiny, and you just have to follow the course. But when you oppose, when you take credit, when you have your self-conceit, you are very haughty and have this pride and arrogance, name it, then you're going to be in trouble. That's exactly what is being mentioned here. And the attachment to the desire increases the more you get into this, and more you take credit, or the more you think you're suffering or you're enjoying. Whether it is suffering or enjoying, both are still ego only. So whether it's an inflated ego or deflated ego, at the end of the day, it is still an ego. And please know this, if you keep saying you're the doer, you're actually increasing the attachment to the desires. Your desires are going to grow. It's not going to come down. So don't ever take credit for anything that happens in your life. Just surrender to the will of the divine alone. Whatever the Lord gives it, just accept it graciously and keep moving on. You don't have to gloat when somebody praises you, or you don't have to feel terrible or miserable when somebody is calling you names. It doesn't matter. Somebody is using their mind to call you names. How does it matter? Or somebody is using their yardstick to praise you. Does it even matter? It doesn't matter. The self is constant, ancient, and indestructible. It is without the changes of birth and death, etc. The letter Omkar is itself its symbol. It is continual, without a beginning and end. So the self has no beginning, no end. You cannot even say when it began, when it is going to end. It is eternal. It is always there. You are the one who's a blip in the ocean, who keeps coming and going, coming and going. Why? Because of the cycle of birth and death. That is who you are. But the self is eternal. It's ancient. It's always been there, and it will always be there. There's no birth and death to it. And this is what it is. And when you understand this truth, then you become one with that self. Then you realize you're not this body. You're that eternal being alone. He who regards this body itself as the self and feels that he is separate, the creation is separate, such a one will never get self-knowledge that comes from self-experience, however hard he may toil for it. Absolutely true. I will reread this. He who regards the body itself as the self and feels that he is separate, the creation is separate, such a one will never get self-knowledge that comes from self-experience, however hard he may toil for it. So first, please don't think that this body is self. This body is not a self. Body is made, it is made of the elements, so which is created. So this body will perish at the end of the day. It's going to go back to the elements. So how can you say this body is self? So when you think this body is self, then you're never going to get the self-knowledge through the self-experience. That is never going to happen. And no matter how hard you toil for it, you're never going to get this understanding at all. So first, don't attribute self to be the body. That is exactly what is being mentioned here. Conquer speech and all other senses. Make a firm resolve of the mind. Then extinguish the involuntary activity of that mind and hold fast to the intellect. Intellect which gives knowledge and is in the form of light. It is here that the mind should be concentrated, for the group of all the sense organs, including the mind, are controlled by the intellect. So very true. See, the first word here is conquer speech. So you need to control what you speak. You cannot just blabber out whatever comes from your mouth. You even without thinking whom you're talking to and what you're saying, don't let your mind's dirt being thrown at somebody. This is a very beautiful lesson. We think we can talk whatever comes to our mind, and then people have this very weird attitude. Just because some people give you that liberty and give you, out of goodness, they give you that space, you think that you can sit on top of their head and you can question the authority. And this is not acceptable. That is why here Baba is mentioning it. Conquer your speech. It's very important. Do not talk nonsense. And you talk, you're going to get into trouble. First of all, who has given you the right to speak? Has anybody asked you to speak? Open your mouth. And people are, they have this very interesting way of thinking where they can speak and how they can speak. They'll go to all the goons in this world who are all the fake people. Over there, they'll be very humble. They will show a lot of respect. But when they come to the real real divine being, real guru, and real people around who are the devotees, the God Almighties themselves. They don't have to say or show that. But when they visit such a place where the real master lives, there they'll open their mouth way too much, thinking that they have the birthright to talk whatever comes to their mind. Nobody has given you that right. Please know this. And when you know what? The guru tests you. You need to understand. It is the master's way to see where you stand. You're under test. Doesn't mean he's, given you that permission or he's given you that place. You need to earn that. You have to first become a devotee. You have to become submissive to first learn under that master. Get the training. And only then, after the deservability, the master himself grants you that growth. It doesn't come overnight. First, he's going to test how much can you wag your tail, how much your mouth, how much your tongue is going to wag. And then you're going to be put in your place. Please know this. And all of the senses. Make a firm resolve of the mind. Then extinguish the involuntary activity of that mind and hold fast to the intellect. So you need to make a very firm resolve so that you can control your mind. You cannot let your mind talk whatever it wants to talk, because you are here to learn. You're not here to, try to question somebody else. Intellect, which gives knowledge and is in the form of light. It is here that the mind should be concentrated. For the group of all the sense organs, including the mind, are controlled by the intellect. So, my Guruji will always teach this. When, the higher intellect, which will guide you to the right path, right? It is going to show you the right, it is to give you the right knowledge. It has to point you towards the right knowledge. For that, first you have to practice, you have to control it. And you need to focus on that intellect, which will show you the right path, and it will show you what you have to say, what you don't have to say. But to get to that, first you need to evolve. You need to understand how this needs to be done, not just by trying to say, okay, I'm doing certain things here, I'm doing a favor. No, it's not a favor. See, whenever you come into the ashram and you do anything, it is a seva. You are doing it because it is for your own good. You're not doing it for somebody else. Please know, let me reiterate this. Anybody who visits a guru's ashram, in fact, in the previous chapter, Baba has very clearly taught how do you get that spiritual wheel? How do you get the guru to impart that knowledge to you? Only when you first show what you're worthy of. The guru has to see that. The guru is going to test you. He's going to put you under different kinds of tests, and is going to see what you're going to do and how you're going to fare, how you're going to grow on the path. But he's always going to be there to guide you. And it depends. You can either stand, or you can fall off, or you can even go away. There have so many people who have come and been with my Guruji. Even the best of his students could not take his test. Let me tell you this much. You cannot stand the test of the great master, and that requires the greatest of the ability and the faith in the divine and the master himself. It doesn't come so easily. So this is extremely important. Even to get to this is so, Baba is talking about an advanced subject here. But first, to get to this level, one must, attain the grace of the Guru. That is the most important aspect. And anybody does service in the ashram, they are doing seva. They are not doing any favor to anybody. Let me be very clear about this. Because there are people who open the mouth and say, oh, I'm doing a menial job. I'm doing I'm sweeping, I'm swabbing, whatever. Please, nobody's doing any maids. There are nobody maid here. There is no servant here. It's not that. We are all the servant of the Guru. Please know this. Everybody in a Guru's ashram is a servant unto the Guru. Why we say servant is because we need to become humble. We need to let our ego come down. So we are the servant of the divine, because we're serving him. We're serving our master. He's the greatest teacher that we can ever get. And you have to always do Guru Seva. It is, you're doing it for your own good. You're not doing it for anybody else. So don't think you're doing any favor to anybody over here, or whichever ashram that you go and serve. To whatever service that you do, it is only redeeming you of your karma. But it's not going to get any benefit to the people around. So anything that they do to the master, you're going to get that. You're going to reap that benefit. So there are a lot of people who've come and said, oh, I did so much work. Oh, really? You don't come and do work. You come and do seva. There is a difference between doing a work and doing a seva. No, even every maid also does. She gets paid for that. Okay. We don't, in Krishna ashram, we don't have maids. Because we are all the servants of our Guruji, because we serve him. That is the highest form of service that you can ever get. That's the highest form of seva that you can ever do to the divine and the master. This is the supreme truth. And I have to give you a very beautiful experience, which I have experienced personally. And when I went with my Guruji to Banaras, we went to Prayag, where the Triveni Sangam is. And there, when we went where exactly the confluence of the Triveni Sangam, my Guruji dipped his feet, and right then I also dipped my feet along with him. When I dipped this feet, the beautiful lesson, I got the experience of Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. And there I saw Goddess, the river Saraswati herself, giving me this knowledge. Always do Guru Seva. And what is the Seva is? Doing service in the Guru's ashram, which means the understanding is you have to sweep, swab, mop, whatever job that is. Please do it. Serve in the Guru's ashram. That is the highest form of service that you can do. This was the beautiful experience that I got there. And since then, in whatever capacity that I can, and everybody here who comes and who are the ashram inmates, they do service. We are not interested in having any maids, okay? People have said, oh, why can't you appoint a maid? I'm sorry, it is not about the arrogance of money. No, in a guru's ashram, we have to first wear ourselves out. Only then that is an ashram. Otherwise, it will become some fancy location. Yeah, people might say, oh, you're living in a house and how are you calling it an ashram? Ashram, it's nothing to do with the house. We are, how do we live here? Like the lotus leaf, just like Lord Shri Krishna lives, untouched by the water on the lotus leaf. That is exactly how we live here. We are not attached to anything. The only reason we like this place, or where we have rented this premise, and we call it Krishna Ashram, where, because it is what we need that silence, we need connectivity, because we give satsangs on internet, everybody is watching across the globe. That is the simple reason. And here my Guruji is not interested in having too many students. He always keeps saying that I need just that one who is worthy enough to attaining that knowledge, so that they can carry forward my legacy. That is all he cares about. And I just want the true seeker who wants to evolve on the path of spirituality. Here we are not interested in having millions and billions of students. We are not doing any of that. We all work hard. My Guruji also does work. Why? He doesn't have to do. The reason he does few things is because he wants to show how to live with humility, how to do our own job. It is empowering ourselves, empowering the God within ourselves, so that we become the best version of ourselves. We should not say, oh, I don't know this, I cannot do this. No, my Guruji teaches that you need to be able to do every job. He says it's not of jack of all trades, of master of none. It is jack of all trades and master of everything. That is what you have to become, and that is what my Guruji teaches us to become. And every single day he teaches us how to do our job, including, even if it is meaning to cooking, he will teach us you should stand and watch. He'll cook. He's the best cook in this world. He knows everything. There is not a single subject that he doesn't know. Why? Because that is what he's gone through in his life. That is who he is. He's all knowing. He's master of everything. He's not, and he's the Lord Almighty himself. He's Shri Krishna himself. So when the Lord himself is being so humble, who the hell you are to come and show your arrogance here? You think some ordinary human beings are living here? Absolutely not. Yet we live like absolutely ordinary human beings, doing our job and being lost in the divine alone, on the path of bhakti. The only thing we see is we worship God in everything. We serve the divine. That is what we do. We're always lost in the bhakti. Our aspect is we are in love and devotion to the divine. And we in Krishna Ashram practice everything that is our culture, tradition, art. We live that and we breathe that. We are showing the world and setting an example how to live the way of life of Lord Shri Krishna as instructed in Uddhav Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam, and in Sri Bhagavad Gita. This is who we are. And we don't need any praises and somebody has to believe in us or not. You know what? Those who have to come will come, and those who are not meant to be here will be thrown out also. They will not even come. They might come, but they cannot stay here for longer. Please know that. It is your effort and you're being watched. Know this. The initial source of an earthen pot is the clay. So is intellect to sense organs. In the same sense, it is their constant state. Such is the pervasiveness of the intellect. By virtue of its all-pervasive nature, the intellect fills all the senses like the mind, etc. Hence, merge this intellect into the all-pervading divine consciousness and that divine principle into the self. Actually, it's a very profound knowledge, and this is not something that even I can explain, because this is a very deeper adhyatmic knowledge. This is only my Guruji can teach you what this is. But in simple, mere words, all I can say is that to attain this, you have to go through a whole journey on the path of spirituality. You need to take instructions with a real master. It is not going to come by anyone. It is not going to be granted by anybody and everybody. This instruction will have to come through the spiritual master, a real master, and he will then show you how you can evolve on this path. See, we are the followers of Bhakti Marg. We only believe in love and devotion. There is nothing beyond that. That is who we believe. And when the divine has to, reveal itself, it will reveal. So we are not bothered about it. But knowledge is important to understand that this is what the truth is all about. When a sum total is made in this way, the true nature of the self is revealed with a certainty, and then the silver of the oyster shell, the mirage in the sand, the serpent in the robe become only optical illusions. It's very simply this. What it means is when you realize the self, you understand that this body is not you. It's the divine itself. Divine means it's not the body, it's the divinity who you are, that self-realization. You understand the truth that you are not this body, you are the divine alone. And that time what happens is the rope, which seems like a serpent, then that illusion goes away. Then you know it is a rope, it is not that serpent. That is what is meant here. It is the self complete, not with any distinguishing quality, without birth and death, that we must realize to attain our lasting good. So say the sages. All effects have a cause, but the soul is self-existent and without a cause. It is ancient but from the beginning. It is new and beyond past, present and future. By its very nature, it is beyond the reach of the intellect. It's simple as that. What is being told is, no matter, it's saying everything has a effect, a cause, why it came about, how it came about. But the self has no cause. You cannot even understand. But the soul is self-existent and without a cause. Yes, the soul is self-existent. It has always been there. There is no date when it was born, or there is no date when it is going to die, or there is something in the future also. Nobody can know its past, present, or the future. It is always there. It is to eternity. It is always new because it is existent to eternity. So you cannot understand using your intellect this self. That is what is being said. Because see, even what I'm explaining is I'm trying to explain to you this verse, but mere in words. But can the words describe this? No. You need to get the direct experience, and to get the direct experience, it's only through the instruction by a real master. The Brahma-Jnana can only be bestowed by the Guru himself. Okay, yesterday I had actually mentioned that I'm going to give you this how the moksha is attained. There's a very beautiful Sanskrit verse. It's a prayer. Okay, let me recollect. I was supposed to write down. I apologize, I forgot about it, but let me try to recollect, and I hope I will be able to tell you the prayer. It's called Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti, Puja Moolam Gurur Padam, Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam, Moksha Moolam Gurur Krupam. The moksha can only be attained to Guru's Krupa. There is no other way. That is exactly the point here. These are all very, very profound words. This understanding, even I am not qualified to even talk about this, because I am not that master. The master himself has to give you this understanding, and that is why the real Guru has to give you this truth, and that is only through his grace. Moksha Moolam Gurur Krupam. So you have to do the above. So Dhyana Moolam Gurur Padam. You have to, dhyan. You have to do the dhyan on the lotus feet of the Guru. Puja Moolam. Sorry, one second. I apologize again. Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti. Puja Moolam Gurur Padam. Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam. Okay, so what it means is Dhyana Moolam Gurur Murti. You have to worship the Guru as God. You have to worship his image. That is what it means. You have to do dhyan on that. You have to always do dhyan. Dhyana Moolam Gurur, Gurur Murti. You have to do dhyan on his image, his idol, whether it is his feet, whether it is his face, whatever. You have to pick an aspect of him, and you have to do dhyan. Then Puja Moolam Gurur Padam. The greatest worship is doing Guru Paduka Puja. That has a very profound meaning. That's the ultimate thing anybody can worship, because the entire knowledge rests, this entire universe rests at the lotus feet of the guru. That is the greatness of a guru's feet. Never ever take so much for, never even take granted for what that feet is all about. It is where the entire divinity rests. Whether it is goddess Ganga, the Ganga flows from his feet. That is the power. So, Puja Moolam Gurur Padam, Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam. It's what the Guru says. The Guru will give you that mantra. You have to chant that. It is his Vakya, the word that comes from his mouth. That is Mantra Moolam Gurur Vakyam. And Moksha Moolam Gurur Krupam. Please know this. And if I've made any mistake, I will still clarify, because I think I just said what I remembered. But this is what it means in a nutshell. So I hope you understand the significance of how on this experience, the moksha or anything can only be granted by the real Guru alone. Nobody else in this world can ever give you that experience of the truth. Inviolable as the sky, beyond birth and death, self-sustained and pure. Its support is Om Pranava. The infinite Brahman is to be known. The Brahman, which becomes infinite, is to be attained. Its symbol Om is to be meditated upon and to be worshipped always. Omkara, in the form of Pranava or Brahman, is the essence of all the Vedas. And the ascertainment of its meanings is the real contemplation of the Mahavakyas of the Vedas. That which the Vedas themselves have established and which the seekers achieve with the greatest effort and by observing celibacy, that is called the highest state of Om. I'm going to read this again. Please listen to this carefully. That which the Vedas themselves have established and which the seekers achieve with the greatest effort and by observing celibacy, that is called the highest state of Om. You know what? Today people come to my Guruji and say, oh, I saw a very interesting girl. I have a girlfriend. I think I like her, or I think I'm looking at somebody. They go to ashrams because they can meet this, all these beautiful girls. They are not going there to do they're not going there to seek knowledge. There are a lot of this very great ashrams in our world today. Everybody's, like I said, the spirituality is the most abused word, and this ashram has become even more abused because everybody think that they want to get some solace. They're seeking peace. In spirituality, there is no peace. You have to constantly keep learning. It's so beautiful. Every single day is so exciting by itself. Some days you're all on the high, some days you're low, but you have to overcome. Both are there. But it's the beauty is you're progressing, you're learning so much. But people go there, they want peace. Oh, I need to do Om, something like that, all nonsensical stuff. My Guruji has never taught any such things. And in no scripture it is ever mentioned. So people go to attain this peace. What they find? They don't find any peace. And they find all these girlfriend, boyfriends, and they try to go and see who they can partner with. This is what they're going. Celibacy. What does it mean? You cannot have lust in your life. You cannot think of a woman. In fact, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji, in his entire gospel of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he has taught that women, stay away from women and gold. Kamini Kanchan. That is the greatest cause of your misery. Lust and greed, and actually, in fact, even anger. My Guruji was saying the most important, actually, in one of the verse, not this chapter, but the previous chapter, it's lust, anger, and greed. They are the three doorways to hell, going to hell. So even anger. So you cannot have any of this. But here the criteria is very important. Celibacy. And even if you think you're thinking of your woman in your mind, you cannot attain any spirituality. People watch pornography. People do a lot of dirty things. They can't focus their mind on good stuff. Why celibacy is so important? Because your dhyan has to be on the divine. You cannot have dirty things going in your mind and then you expect a spiritual meal. What kind of a jerk are you? This is how the people come to meet my Guruji and say, oh, she was very beautiful, she was looking at it. The Guruji can talk whatever he wants, but you don't have the right to open your mouth and, think that you can equally talk what he's talking. He's only testing you, you moron. You don't understand. That is his way to test where you stand and what kind of a gutter mind you have. This is what is mentioned. Please know that celibacy is very important. There's no room for lust or greed. However, extremely difficult as it is to ascend to that state, it becomes easy to attain for him who studies hard. Oh my God. You have to underline this word. Who studies hard. Once he receives his guru's grace. Okay, again, I think I've already explained this. Most important is you need to get that guru's grace for the studies to happen. But the guru is not going to give you the grace till he doesn't see your effort. How much are you putting effort from your side? What is the initiatives that you're taking? How much do you actually are seeking for it? It doesn't come so easily. Like I said, till my Guruji did not crush my ego and arrogance and this thing about I want to learn all that, till he didn't see how much I was after him, what is it I was seeking from him. Till that point, he did not give me this study hard grace. He didn't give me. But you know what? But when he gave me that grace, I'm even today, I will just cry because that's the most perfect moment for it. There cannot be any other way. And this is so beautiful. I have to say one very interesting story. My Guruji had first student. Yes, and when you have the only student, the Guruji is going to be so sweet. He's going to make all the effort so that he wants that one student to do extremely well. But what happens when the Guru is giving you so much of knowledge and everything, the student's ego rises because they think that I know too much. I know a lot. This is how the student behaves. And please let me tell you, the arrogance of knowledge is what will pull you down, and never think that you know it. And today, this is one thing that I will always say whenever my Guruji says, no, I'm not capable of reading this Satcharita. You might say I'm capable, but look, this body has no knowledge. It is your grace, Guruji. It is Baba himself who's making the words come out. It is my Krishna Guruji's words of wisdom that I'm able to sit here and speak. It is not me. This body is nothing. So the point was, at a point in time, she became so haughty and pride. Her arrogance grew no end, telling that I know more than you. Oh my God, you're telling Lord Almighty that you have so much knowledge. The Guru test, please remember, this is the divine way to put you to test to see where you stand and how much you can fall off. The knowledge of arrogance is very dangerous. Never, never let it. Never ever have the knowledge of arrogance. That will destroy you. And please know this very carefully. So she's like, I need to experience this, I need to do this, and would always argue and question with the Lord Almighty himself. There came a point, when he sent me to say, okay, study from her. And then the knowledge she gave me was, this is what happens. The same knowledge can get wiped out. She could not see the word love in Bhagavad Gita. Please know this. She couldn't find the word love. And then everything that she would teach was false because it was opposite to what my Guruji has taught me. And to me, I was very upset. This is the way how the masters test. And then finally, when I came back and said, no, this is what you've said, but she's saying a completely opposite of it. So that's how the world, that is called Maya. When the arrogance comes, then you get hit and get deluded by Maya. That knowledge will not stand there. Please know this. No knowledge will ever stand in ego or arrogance or pride. You will become zero. That knowledge cannot fructify within you. Even in anger. Please know this. Even in anger, you cannot get that knowledge. You need to have that oneness with the divine. And then the knowledge opens. Because this is universal knowledge. It is not something, a bookish knowledge which you can learn. No. When the moment you open the verse, which I might have done it, but I have read only like a story. I can't, when I have started the Sai Satcharita Parayana this time, every word is new to me. Every story is new to me. I'm learning something very, very new. It's going much deeper for me itself, okay? So you will get what you have to get from this. So please know this. So it so happened, then she couldn't see the word love at all. And then my Guruji said, it's okay, I will learn. So, but this is how the divine works. That whole word, the word is in that Bhagavad Gita, the word love is there. But for somebody, that word doesn't exist. This is how it works. So never have the ego of knowledge. And even when you deny something, you can't deny the divine. You cannot show you cannot demand things from the divine. The divine knows what to give you and how to give you. Please know this. And that is why it is mentioned. When you study hard, once he receives, the study hard comes after you receive the Guru's grace, not before that. Getting this knowledge is not so easy. And people take it for granted. They sit and this is what my Guruji says. Yeah, you're all sitting in America, some are sitting in Singapore, some are sitting in Canada, some are sitting in Australia, UK, you name it, wherever, London, all over the world. Do you think what this knowledge is going to come to you? No. The only thing that happens is, yes, at least you're keeping in that touch, there's a touch with the divine. You're keeping the company of the holy beings. You're keeping the company of the sages and the saints. At least that much you're redeemed with. But please know this, the only way to attain this grace is by serving the Guru physically. There are no any other way. There are no alternatives to this. I have already, shared the Kukud Swami's story, how goddess Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati would come and clean Kukud Swami's ashram. They'll come fully dirty, muck, and they look at all the filth. But when they are walking out of the Guru's ashram, they're like goddess, glowing, beautiful, purest white garments, like damsels. They're like absolutely the divine being they walk out. How does this the difference? What is the significance that the story is teaching? It is there, these simple stories are giving you the profound truth. That is the only way to remove all your karmas. That is the only way to eradicate all the sins that you have committed for millions of years, or whatever, how many lives you have. That is what it is. That is the only way. There are no other ways to attain this grace. So you know what? You can keep sitting anywhere and read, but that grace will not come. And to get that grace, first that grace, and then you have to study hard. Studying hard means how much effort are you going to put in, learning, going. And also, one of the other very interesting, my Guruji will always say, and at times I make this mistake too, in the sense, we study, right? We study, but after that you have to go and look, open the book and cogitate. Sometimes we don't do that. It is very important you do this. And my Guruji will always say, go do your homework. It's very important. We are all learning. The learning never ends. As long as this body is there, you continue to learn. Even today, my Guruji doesn't have to study anything, doesn't have to learn. Yet, 8 hours a day, he studies. He learns, he reads, he keeps gathering knowledge, but he doesn't need any knowledge. He sets an example. My aspiration, my genuine aspiration, what I'll tell him, Krishna Guruji, even 1%. I live your way of life, just like you, in my life. That is all. I have achieved everything in my life. I love to live his way of life. I will want to walk the footsteps which my Guruji is walking and which he will live. That is what I will follow. I'm not going to look at any other thing. To me, he's the ultimate goal. He's the way, he's the path. That is what I want to attain, and he's my destination. There's nobody in this entire universe who is as perfect as he is, because he's Lord Shri Krishna himself. So, get that grace, and then you please put hard work. And getting that grace is not so easy, let me tell you. And when this knowledge of arrogance comes, and that you're going down, and that knowledge doesn't exist, what you have earned will also go away. The divine can take it away. So it is your effort. So don't ever pride and show your arrogance of knowledge, please. That is extremely dangerous. Beginning with the most gross among the physical organs, when an untiring seeker in his arduous study reaches that most subtle discriminating intellect, he attains to that state. Absolutely. So here again, I'm going to say a very interesting thing. Please note that it is the path that the Guru will lay to you. So the arduous study, whatever that you have to study or whatever that is going to be prescribed by your master according to what is right path for you. And nobody else can describe what that path is. But here Baba is mentioning that it has to be an arduous effort. It is not going to come easy. You're not going to get it on a platter. You have to put that effort. You have to walk that path yourself, but with the guidance of the Guru. But you have to walk that path. Such is this letter Om, to be pronounced through the speech, which is the sum total of all forms of penance, and mere utterance of which brings out its essential meaning, and a constant repetition of which will result in a vision or manifestation of God. Blessed is that steadfast devotee of the Sadguru, who will know that all-pervading spirit, which is unaffected by the changes of growth and decay. How can they, who are forever afflicted by the threefold afflictions of Adhyatma, Adibhut, and Adidaiva, ever such enjoy good fortune? Such glory is only for the saints. Absolutely. And a mere mortal, a human being, is always afflicted by, the threefold afflictions. So you cannot achieve. That's exactly what Baba is saying here. Out of ignorance arises the birth-death cycle, and only means to be liberated from it is the realization of oneness between the Brahman and the self. This can be achieved through the saints. Again, this is just reiterating. Guru is the doorway to God. You cannot achieve it yourself. Please know this very well. And the only way to get it is you need to offer Guru Dakshina for the fructification of knowledge to happen. And please do not give with an intention, oh, I am going to, the fructification of knowledge has to happen, so I'm going to give this. I'm sorry, nothing will happen. When the mind is free from all thoughts of sense objects, and by repeating the Vedic aphorism, I am Brahman, the intellect tends to think the same. Convinced by the truth of the words of the Guru and the Shastras, when the tendency to do karma mentally and physically ceases altogether, it is then the self is fully realized. Absolutely. Here it's very clearly mentioned. Convinced by the truth of the words of the Guru and the Shastras, when the tendency to do karma mentally and physically, it is both. It's, karma is not just done physically. People think that, oh, I am not doing anything. But hello, sir, your mind is doing very active, too active, okay? Please, the amount of karma your mind is creating, you can't even imagine. So the greatest karma that you can create is through your mind. It's not the physical action that matters. It is the action in your mind, the thoughts, the thoughts that keep coming. The amount of karma that you create is incredible. Please know this. Ceases altogether. Only when it ceases altogether, it is then that the self is fully realized. Only then can you realize the self, not before that. You think this is such an easy task? Your mind, you need to shut your mind first, and it doesn't even shut. It's a garrulously speaking. So please, that is why we say first you have to do dhyan on Guru himself. You have to do his worship. You have to chant his mantra, the mantra jap that he gives, whatever that he's giving, and then the Guru krupam. When the krupa on your head falls, then the moksha attains. That is exactly why that is so important. Only then is knowledge attained fully and clearly. Salvation comes from the material means of sensual pleasure. The meshes of ignorance, etc., in the heart are disentangled, and the seeker enters the unmanifest to become one with it. More subtle than the subtle atom is the ray of light. So small and subtle is the atom. So small and subtle is the Atman. Such is the definite idea of the Atman. Atma is larger than the Brahmanda, which is the largest among the large, but all this is only a relative standard. Atman is really beyond all measurement. Absolutely. We can't understand any of this, and I know it's a little dry subject, so let's proceed further, because this is beyond our ken and understanding. You cannot understand through your mind, intellect, nothing. Like it said, I think I've already explained the process. I don't want to reiterate it, so I'll continue with this lesson, okay? In subtlety, it is the subtlest among the subtle. In largeness, it is the largest among the large. Hence, name or form are merely discriminative appellations, while the Atman is perfect and without appellations. The Atman has no birth, no death, nor has it any causal origin. It is unborn, constant, indestructible, and ancient. It is difficult to know it clearly, effortlessly. Absolutely, you just cannot know, as simple as that. Omkar, the symbol of Brahman, is its fundamental nature, which it has been difficult even for the Vedas or Shastras to understand. Oh God. Can you imagine how difficult? Even for Vedas and Shastras, they couldn't understand. So you and me, to forget it. Let's only be devoted to our Guruji and Lord Shri Krishna. That is all we have to do. We don't have to bother about these dry things. The best path is Bhakti Marg. Love and devotion. Please cry for your Lord. Sing all the love songs. Just be lost in it. How sweet it is. Can you just imagine Krishna being your beloved, your husband, your friend? How sweet is that? Oh God. I'll feel so proud. I'll take so much of pride and joy and so much of, I'm so proud to say I'm married Lord Shri Krishna. Do you know that? Of course, in reality, I'm married. That is my conviction. He's my beloved. I sing to him the most romantic of the songs, and I just cry my heart out. I express to him. I fight like a friend. I shared my feelings, whatever, to him. Who else do you need? The best company in this world. Don't trust any human. There is no human being you can ever trust in this world. Trust me. This is a world full of mistrust. You can't have a trust. The only one you can trust is the divine. And that is what it is. And every single time I trust someone, that trust gets broken. And it's very difficult. But you know what? The one being in this entire universe who will never fail you, that is the divine, the Lord himself. Because you can put all your faith and trust in him. And he's the only one who will stand that for you. In trying to understand, yes, we've done that. To realize the true nature of Atman, it is necessary to have an Acharya who has realized the non-duality between God and the Atman, when even those skilled in reasoning gain no entry here, what to say of others? Absolutely. There is no place for logicians here, for they will be caught up in the whirlpool created by their own chaotic mind. Except the Veda Shastras and the Guru, no one else has the steadiness of mind needed for self-realization. Absolutely true. See, there are people who want to use their mind to decipher this knowledge, and they want to, they are the jnanis. They want to dissect the God. They want to understand that. But here also it's mentioned, they will be caught in their whirlpool created by their own chaotic mind. Except the Veda Shastras and the Guru, no one else has the steadiness of mind needed for self-realization. So please don't use your mind. As simple as this. You're not capable of it. You're not ready for it. You don't even know how to do that. So don't even get into that. So here it means for the logicians, people who have logical mind, they want to think logically, they want to understand God in logical manner. So it says you cannot decipher God, you cannot understand God with mind. First, let us be very clear about it. So where is the question of being a logician or whatever crap you are? The innumerable stars of one's own intellectual speculations and theories cannot help one avoid the 84 lakh cycles of birth and death. It is enough to have that one moon. The Guru and the Shastras and even the last traces of darkness of ignorance are then cleared away. How profound. It's again, the whole verse is very simply telling you that don't use your intellectual speculations, to speculate God. God cannot be speculated. All you need is the Guru and the Shastras. The Guru is going to use the scripture to give you that knowledge. He's not going to quote anything out of the scripture. Please know that a real master will only give you knowledge through the scriptures. He's only going to give quote from the scriptures. But if you look at today, everybody's talking whatever comes to their mind. They don't even know who God is. They don't even know what way the Shastras are. And they're all giving some expositions. This YouTube is filled with all the crap and garbage, and everything is such concocted versions of their own minds, BS. And so what knowledge is this future going to have? Where is the knowledge of the truth then? And here it is being very clearly mentioned that the only one who can give you this knowledge is the Guru and the Shastras. The Guru is going to point you towards the scripture, and he's going to teach you from the scripture. And then even the last traces of darkness, of ignorance, are only then it can be cleared away, not otherwise. Please know this. He who holds fast to his Sadguru will achieve with little effort what others fail to achieve with hard, painful effort. Absolutely. When you have that steadfast faith and devotion unto the Sadguru, you will achieve with little effort, what others fail to achieve with hard and painful effort. For he will receive the light of knowledge or the Brahma-Jnana only with the grace of your master, when you have that steadfast faith in him and when you hold to his feet very tightly and never leave that. Where ignorance is removed without effort and blissful self-knowledge comes to stay, and the state of self-absorption emerges. It is indeed the state for which moksha is just another name. Wow, I hope you understand this. So when the Guru removes your ignorance, then without effort and blissful self-knowledge comes to stay. That itself is moksha. So you don't have to attain any other moksha. People don't understand, you don't even have to need moksha or anything. When you have the devotion to your Guru, that is the highest form of moksha you can ever attain. What more do you need? This and this alone is the most desirable and highest goal of human existence. It is for this that the Brahma yogis who strive to be one with the Brahman and the seekers who are constantly self-absorbed made great efforts. He who turns away from the self is caught up in the tumult of sensual desires, but once he firmly concentrated in his true self, his sensual desires become weak. For one who has turned away from his self, the sensual pleasures are near at hand, but the moment he turns inwards in his true self, the sensual desires turn away from him. Simple as that. See, all this is saying that how do you overcome your desires and sensual pleasures, all that you're attached to, is when you go inwards, when you're attached to yourself, when you're devoted to the divine, then none of the other things entice you, or you're not even interested in it. It falls off you. So everything goes off. Then you only have that blissful state and you're only attached to the divine. He who desires nothing but moksha and has no other desires in his mind, has no temptations either in this world or in the next, He alone is deserving of moksha or salvation. Absolutely. It's not, you don't even have to desire in this world or in the next world also. It doesn't matter. Even Lord Shri Krishna has said the same thing. So who doesn't desire anything in this world or in the, in the next, he alone is deserving of moksha. And that to grant the moksha is not in your hand. It is the divine Lord himself will grant it through the form of the Guru. Know this clearly, that he who lacks even in one of these qualities is not a true seeker. He only pretends to be a seeker as a man blind in one eye pretends to see. Okay, I think this is self-explanatory. I don't even have to explain. So if you do not have any of this one of the qualities, you are not a true seeker. So you can try as hard as you might, but please know that you are not going to achieve anything. Unless the ego completely falls off, unless greed is totally eradicated and the mind is detached and free of desires, Brahma-Jnana will not be firmly imprinted. Identification of the self with the body is itself a delusion. Attachment to anything is a bondage. Give up these prompting of sensual desires and their memory, and you will attain the Brahman. I think we've said the same thing, but it is reiterating so that the human mind doesn't have the capacity to listen. It only hears. So the reiteration is required constantly so that you understand at least one bit, 1% or even 0.1% of this knowledge enters your brain. I think you made a great deal. You made a great progress. Brahman in its attributeless state is difficult to realize. Hence, wise men know the importance of Brahman in its manifest finite form and consider its worship to be their dharma. That is why we say Guru Sakshat Para Brahma. The Brahma has taken the form of the Guru. So Guru worship is the highest form. When you worship the Guru, you are worshipping the formless itself. So how do you think you cannot attain the formless? You have already attained, because you're worshipping the formless in the form, in the manifestation in the form of your Guru. So please know this much. At least this is a very basic thing. And I know here it was quite complex subject, but I think this is broken down very simple. The manifestation, the Brahman is the form who was manifested as your Guru. He's in the form. He has taken that form. The formless has taken a form. So when you worship the form, you're attaining the formless. Simple as that. First, the heart must be purified. Over and above that, the intellect has to be subtle, sharp as the point of kusagras. Only then will this Atman, in its thrice purified state and in its kindness, reveal itself all on its own. Very important. A beautiful I only read, there was this Lord Nityananda Maharaj's scripture, the story, life story. In that, the only lesson that hit my heart, and even today, that one page appears in front of me, simple as this, In that, Nityananda Maharaj has said how you need to first purify your heart, then the purification of the mind happens, and only that you can surrender unto your Guru. When these three things happen is when you can evolve on the path of spirituality. And this, the Guru, that happens through this process, through the cleansing process, which is what your Guru does. He cleans you thoroughly. Actually, in Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is a very beautiful story. There is his Guru Totapuri. He learns Vedanta from Totapuri. So he takes this, this brass bowl, and he goes and every day he keeps cleaning it. And so Ramakrishna ji asks, why are you scrubbing it, every single day? Why are you washing it? He says, look, if I don't wash and scrub, it doesn't shine. And then you can see all that muck or whatever dust accumulating on it, and then it loses its shine. So the purification is like that. So you have to keep cleaning it every single day. So even one day if you don't clean, the dust particle accumulates it. So then it becomes dirty. Similarly, the purification of the mind and heart is such that you can't let that little bit of dirt come in. So every single day you have to put that acid wash. The Guru, what he does, he puts an acid and washes you thoroughly. And that is going to burn you. So you're going to scream murder. Please know that. It's not going to be easy. And then you're going to yell and scream and all that. And in that, either you will want to be with him or you want to run away. Two things can happen. And being with him means you have to further go through more deeper and tougher tests than that. And running away means, yes, you can fall off. Simple. Then he'll say, okay, probably in some other life I might meet you again. Goodbye, bye. We'll see in some other life. That's all my Guruji says. So this is how it is. But he's not bothered about it. Because he knows you cannot tolerate that, you cannot take it. It's not for a weak heart. Please be that one. It doesn't come so easily. Spirituality is not for anybody and everybody. And only the chosen ones will get that knowledge. And first you show how worthy you are. Okay. So the Atman is constant, unaffected by changes such as birth, death, growth, etc. The self-realized never grieves, and he alone is truly courageous and wise and is forever liberated from worldly life. I think we are end of the hour, so we will stop at verse 136. We will continue from 137 on Monday. I hope you had a very good week and a good day today. Let's have a very good evening and have a very good weekend. I hope you got some very great lessons today. Looking forward to having this session, having Sai Satcharita Parayana continued from Monday. Thank you. Have a very good evening once again. ओम श्री महागणपते नमः। ओम श्री गुरुदेव दत्त। ओम श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। दिगंबरा दिगंबरा श्रीपाद वल्लभ दिगंबरा। ओम श्री कृष्ण गुरुनाथ नाथाय श्री गुरुवे नमः। ओम देवी दुर्गाय नमः। ओम श्री कृष्णार्पणम नमस्तु। कृष्णं वंदे जगद्गुरुम्।